first met Jackie through school. We both started working at Evans Middle School together.
We were both new teachers at the same school. So we had like a new teacher meeting thing at like 8 a.m. before all the other teachers got to campus. We had to basically pretend we were back in high school and be like, what's your name? What's your favorite food? Go around the circle. And so that's where I first met him. And I kind of thought he was a lunatic for being so energetic at 8 a.m. in the morning. We're all sitting there drinking our coffees and kind of being quiet. And he was like, my name's Nick. And I was from this school before. And he was just so charismatic. And I was like, oh my goodness, it is 8 a.m.
And we became really good friends before we started dating and got together.
From there, I just, we talked in the halls, and then I got to know him more than, that circle of what's your favorite food and what's your name. And from there, we just kind of became good work buddies, and then more.
Okay, so Jackie first approached me actually through school email, of all things. She asked me to go and play tennis with her right when we got out of school for our first year teaching together. I don't check my email in the summer, so I had no idea she was interested up until our first date, which was 3 years into us knowing each other.
We were kind of set up by some of his friends. So Nick actually tried to set me up with another one of our coworkers at first, which didn't go well. And then after that fiasco, he invited me to his birthday dinner.
Our first date was interesting. We went to a nice steakhouse for dinner with a bunch of friends and stuff.
They were all his friends from elementary school, middle school, longtime friends, and then there was me. And I kind of felt a little odd one out. And they kind of gave me the third degree a little bit. And at the end of the dinner, when Nick's like, hey, let's get this party going. And they all convinced him to go out and then ditched us.
And the friends abandoned us.
And it was just Nick and I at Twin Peaks on his birthday.
And we ended up at Twin Peaks alone, drinking.
And after a few shots and a few beers, he asked if I would say yes if he asked me out on a date. And I told him I would say yes.
We went to Twin Peaks first, and then we went to...
So the next day, we went to Fuzzy's, and we had another round of happy hour.
We went to Fuzzy's to watch a Texas Tech game.
And then after that, we had another date, and I asked him to go to my house, and I cooked him dinner. And then the next night, we had another date. We went on a couple consecutive dates all in a row right after we finally decided that we would start seeing each other, and it blossomed very quickly.
Then we ended up getting snowed in together on our third date due to a big blizzard snowstorm we had in Lubbock, which is pretty unusual, but led to some fun memories.
And then this giant snowstorm came in, so we got 3 consecutive days off of school as well. And so we just kept on seeing each other through these snow days because we didn't have work, so we continued to hang out outside of the school setting, getting to know each other a little bit more, which was, I think, easier than to go back to work and be like, yeah, we're kind of a thing, we'll tell our coworkers, we won't tell the kids yet. And then it got into, a couple months down the line, we're telling all the kids and all the coworkers, and, yeah, I guess just doing our thing.
Okay, my most memorable date is actually probably one of the first ones when we actually went over to her house and she cooked for me.
We were eating dinner at my house, and my neighbors were some questionable characters. And this rando starts banging on the door as we're watching a movie at 10 o'clock at night. Crazy. We heard a lot of car screeching, gassing the car, and then banging on the door. Bump, 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 bump. Open up this door. Bump, 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 bump.
We had some drugged out guy try to break into the house.
And I was like, what is going on? And Nick's like, what is going on? I was like, I don't know, man. This is crazy. I'm kind of scared. We ended up calling the cops. And then he ended up, staying over, and then, because, to make sure that my house didn't get broken into when there's this crazy man banging on my door at 9, 10 o'clock at night, and it's winter too, so it's pitch black at 9 o'clock at night. And I think that was the most, I would say, memorable just because it was whack that this crazy person is banging on my door, but also for the fact that that was like our first kind of like overnight with each other.
We stayed in that night and pretty much spent the next 3 days together without really, having any plan or doing anything. So we cooked and cleaned and hung out together for 3 days in a snowstorm for like our third date. So that was cool.
We always laugh about it now, about crazy people banging on doors late at night.
Jackie is unconditionally loving.
Nick is the most sweet and patient man I have ever met.
She loves to a fault. She wants everything to be perfect to my liking and her liking.
I have quite a bit, I would say, nervousness sometimes, and he is just always right there with me, walking through all the steps. It doesn't matter how many times we have to redo the same step or go over the same instructions. He's always just willing to go through it with me.
She cares about everybody else so much, and she loves life with, unconditional love, and just wants to see us live our dreams together.
I think his laugh, the fact it's probably one of the most recognizable laughs I've ever heard, and it's just so free. It's like not tainted by like, oh, this sounds weird, like I need to like make it more socially acceptable, and he just like opens his mouth real big, and it just is the purest like look of joy I think I've ever like seen on him, and most people actually.
My favorite thing about Jackie is, of course, her love for me, number one, but number two, she is unapologetically herself. She is who she is, she will own it, and she makes me a much better person as well because of how she is.
He proposed on a big trip that we took with some friends to New York. We took a 1 week long road trip up to New York, and then he planned this day trip to Canada. And he was like, yeah, we're gonna go to Niagara Falls, we're gonna go to the Canada side, it'll be super cool. And I was like, okay, because he convinced me that the best views were on that side. So we had to go to that side specifically. And we get over there and we do the like the big boat tour where you go like in the falls and everything. And then we got off the boat and I was freaking out because our parking meter was almost up, which we paid a lot of money for, because apparently Canadians have like no concept of like reasonable parking like fees. And I was like, Dick, we gotta go. And he's like, wait, we can't go yet. And he was like, we gotta see this view, it's the best view. And he dragged me along this long strip, and finally he was like, this is a good picture spot. And then we had one friend with us who was taking some photos, and she was there distracting me, like getting all up in my face with the camera. Oh, do this pose, And then behind her, Nick was getting the ring out of his pocket, and then he proposed there on the side of Niagara Falls in Canada. And it was so pretty and beautiful. And then our friend who was there taking photos FaceTimed in my mom and my dad, who were actually on a Sandals vacation. And and so they got to see it right afterwards. And then we called Nick's parents once we went to dinner and everything. And it was a great time. It was very sweet.
Jackie, I love you. I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you.
Nick, I'm so excited to get married to you. And I guess it's like almost an hour now, maybe a little bit less. It's been a whirlwind, but it's been nothing but amazing, and I wouldn't change anything, and I'm just so excited to be his wife.
Don't cry, I already put this on.